Ugomba married a beautiful woman named Mercy. Mercy was hard-working, intelligent and kind, but she was also selfish. She did not want Ugomba to spend money or buy gifts for anyone but her. One day, Ugomba decided to surprise Mercy's mother. Ugomba woke early that morning with a smile. Today, he planned a surprise for Mercy's mother. He poured fresh coffee, then called Mercy into the living room. "Mercy," he said, holding out a thick envelope, "I have money for you. Please, go to the market and buy a large sum of money," and asked her to buy food items for Mother. Mercy took the envelope and frowned. She counted the bills once, then twice. "All this?" she asked. "Yes," Ugomba said. "Buy good things, rice, oil, beans, whatever she likes." Mercy tucked the money into her purse and left. Ugomba watched her go, sure she would choose the best items. At the busy market, Mercy walked past stalls with fresh meat and fine vegetables, but she did not stop. Instead, she chose the cheapest rice she could find. She bought just half a bag. She picked a small, low-grade bottle of palm oil, then a few small cans of beans. A market woman wrapped the items in newspaper. Mercy paid and hurried home, her robe swaying. On the day they set out to visit Mercy's mother, Ugomba reminded Mercy. Later, Ugomba and Mercy set out in his small car. Mercy drove quietly. The road to her mother's village was dusty and narrow. Birds sang in the trees as they passed bright farms. At last, they reached a low red brick house under a mango tree. Mercy's mother stood on the porch, her thin frame covered with a faded wrapper. She waved. Ugomba parked and turned to Mercy. "Give her the food," he said with a kind voice. Mercy stiffened. She opened the package and held it out. Her mother's eyes moved over the small bag of rice and the little bottle of oil. "No!" Mercy cried. She threw the rice onto the ground where grains scattered. "How could you give Mum these cheap things?" Mercy's mother sank back against the wall. Ugomba's face grew calm, but firm. "I gave Mercy enough money to buy good food," he said. "She chose this instead." Mercy's cheeks burned with shame. She sank to her knees, gathering the spilled rice in her hands. Tears rolled down her face. Ugomba stepped forward and gently lifted Mercy to her feet. "It is not too late," he said softly. "Let us go back to the market." Mercy nodded, her eyes still wet. Mercy's mother watched them in silence, hope and pain in her gaze. As they drove away, Mercy sat quietly beside Ugomba. The road home felt long and heavy. Mercy held the cheap bag of food on her lap, her heart heavier still. Mercy stayed silent as Ugomba drove back to the market. The sun hung low, and orange light filled the car. Mercy's heart pounded with shame. She kept her eyes on the small bag of rice in her lap. "Mercy," Ugomba said softly, "I know you love your mother. Tell me why you chose the cheap food." Mercy swallowed hard. She thought of the last time she saw her mother. Her mother had struggled to feed the family after Mercy's father died. Mercy remembered the empty plates and hungry nights. Money was always scarce. I was afraid," Mercy whispered. "All my life, I watched my mother borrow and go without. I promised myself I would never see her suffer again. I wanted to save some money for us." Ugomba's eyes filled with hurt. "But you saved on her back," he said. "You hurt her feelings." Mercy bit her lip and looked away. She saw the doubt in Ugomba's kind face. She felt tears come again. At the market, they stopped at the stall with brown rice and nice palm oil. Mercy paid without a word. Ugomba watched her closely as she chose 2 full bags of rice and a big tin of oil. She even added fresh tomatoes and yams. As they left, Mercy reached out and took Ugomba's hand. "I'm sorry," she said. "I was wrong." Ugomba squeezed her hand. "Thank you for trying to fix this," he replied. They drove on in silence until Mercy spoke again. "Ugomba, there is something I have not told you." Ugomba glanced at her. "What is it?" Mercy's voice trembled. "Before I met you, I lost my job. I sold my small shop to pay my mother's debts. I had no money left. I felt ashamed and helpless." Ugomba reached over and brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You did what you had to do," he said, "but you don't have to carry that shame alone." Mercy let out a shaky breath. "I should have told you sooner." Ugomba nodded. "We face hard things together," he said. "Always." Mercy leaned her head on his shoulder. The car moved through the evening light. Mercy felt a small hope in her heart, that maybe with Ugomba she could learn to share and trust again. The car rolled on as twilight faded into night. Mercy pressed her forehead against the cool window, staring at passing shadows. Ugomba drove. In silence, the air between them felt heavy. After a while, Mercy spoke quietly. "I need time with my mother tonight." Ugomba nodded, though his voice trembled. "If that will help you." He dropped her off at her mother's house. Mercy's mother gave her a gentle hug, but Mercy could not smile. Mercy climbed the worn steps and closed the door softly. Ugomba continued to his own home. On the way, he called his sister Ada. He told her what had happened. Ada listened and offered comfort, but Ugomba's heart ached. He missed Mercy's laugh, her warm hand in his. At Mercy's mother's small kitchen, Mercy sat by the stove but could not eat. She thought of how she had held Ugomba's money too close, how her fear had hurt the ones she loved most. She wrapped her arms around herself and cried quietly. That night they lay in separate rooms. Mercy stared at the ceiling, haunted by shame. Ugomba sat on the edge of their bed, feeling lost. He remembered their wedding day, how Mercy's eyes shone with hope. Before sleep took him, Ugomba whispered into the dark, "I love you, Mercy. I hope we find our way back." And Mercy, in her own room, thought the same. Ugomba woke before sunrise the next morning. Light slipped through the curtains as he sat by the window with a cup of tea. He thought of Mercy, her bright smile, her quick laugh, and the pain in her eyes now. He decided to visit his family for advice. He drove to his sister Ada's house. Ada greeted him with warm tea and grilled fish. They sat in her small living room under a single light bulb. "Ada," Ugomba began, "I love Mercy more than anything. But I hurt her and she hurt her mother. I don't know how to fix this." Ada nodded. "Marriage is like a garden," she said. "You must water it every day. Sometimes there are weeds, like fear or selfishness. You pull them out together." Ugomba sighed. "But what if she resists? What if she cannot trust me with her pain?" Ada reached across and squeezed his hand. "Show her you understand. Listen more, talk less. Share your own fears." Ugomba thought of his own life before Mercy. He remembered the long hours he worked to save money for their wedding. He remembered feeling proud when Mercy said his small gifts were the best she ever received. "I will try," he said softly. "I will speak to her tonight." He finished his tea and thanked Ada. On his drive home, he passed fields of green yams and corn. Birds called in the trees. Ugomba felt hope stir in his chest. When he reached home, Mercy was already there. She sat on the porch, holding a small cup of tea. Ugomba stepped onto the veranda and sat beside her. "I visited Ada today," he said. "She reminded me that we must pull weeds together." Mercy looked at him with tired eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I was afraid to show my pain." Ugomba put his arm around her. "I'm sorry too," he said. "I will listen. Tonight, tell me everything." Mercy leaned into him. Under the early morning sky, they sat quietly, two hearts ready to heal. That afternoon, Mercy walked to the riverbank where she and Ugomba once laughed together. She carried a small notebook and pen. She sat on a smooth rock and opened it to a blank page. Her thoughts rushed back. The pride that stopped her from asking for help, the fear that made her hide her old debts, and the selfish choice at the market. Tears fell onto the page as she wrote, I wasted his kindness. I hurt my mother. I almost lost him. Mercy closed her eyes and drew deep breaths. She remembered when Ugomba first surprised her with flowers, how he had said, "I love you more than anything." She felt the weight of her regret. She decided to make things right. First, she would confess everything to Ugomba. Second, she would repay the money she kept. Third, she would find a way to help her mother beyond food. On her way home, Mercy stopped by a small tailoring shop. She entered shyly. The seamstress, Mrs. Eve, smiled. Mercy handed her a few bills. "Will you make 2 simple wrappers?" Mercy asked. "One for my mother and one for me. I want to surprise her." Mrs. Eve nodded. "I will finish them by tomorrow." Relief and hope filled Mercy's heart. She whispered, "Thank you," and left. That evening, at home, Ugomba found Mercy in their bedroom, folding old clothes. She looked up, her eyes red but determined. "I asked Mrs. Eve for new wrappers," Mercy said softly. "I want to give them to my mother, and you too. I'm sorry for everything." Ugomba rose and gently took her hands. "Your regret shows your love," he said. "We will move forward together." Mercy nodded, a small smile breaking through. For the first time in days, she felt at peace. Early the next morning, Mercy and Ugomba set out for Mercy's mother's house. Mercy carried a small gift bag with the new wrappers and some fresh yams. Ugomba held Mercy's hand as they walked down the dusty path. When they arrived, Mercy's mother sat on a wooden stool by the door. Her eyes widened at the sight of Mercy's wrappers. Mercy knelt and offered the gift bag. "Happy Mother's Day, Mama," Mercy said, voice trembling. "I'm sorry for the cheap food. Please accept these wrappers and yams." Her mother unfolded the green and white wrapper and held it to her chest. Tears filled her eyes. "My child," she whispered, "this means more to me than all the money in the world." Ugomba smiled and placed his hand on Mercy's mother's shoulder. "Mama, thank you for raising Mercy. She loves you very much." Just then, Mercy's mother gasped and clutched her chest. Mercy and Ugomba helped her to a chair. She looked pale and weak. "I'm fine," she said, but her voice shook. Mercy knelt beside her and felt her mother's forehead. It was hot. Ugomba frowned. "I think we must take her to the clinic," he said. Mercy nodded, fear in her eyes. They helped Mercy's mother into the car. Mercy sat in the front seat, holding her mother's hand. Ugomba drove fast, but carefully, praying under his breath. At the small clinic in town, a nurse